What is going on, guys? Jack here, and welcome to episode 10 of The Rise of a Nation, here with FC Edmonton in the Canadian Premier League. Hopefully you guys are doing fantastic. If you missed last episode, it was the start of Season 2. Today, we're going to recap everything that's happened since. As you can see, we're in mid-June. It's going to be a live com double header today, the last two games of the spring split. But, well, since you've been here, a fair bit's happened. I think we'll start with the transfers, because transfers are the most exciting thing, aren't they? We made two signings on deadline day. Two players who I'd been eyeing up. Daigle, actually, the ball's already rolling on. And Kazunori Karata, a player who we decided to pick up right at the deadline day. I was kind of umming and ahhing about him. It was a bit of a punt, but I think it's paid off. So yes, Daigle, the first player we picked up, he joined us from Tulsa. He was actually a player who was playing for our academy, and then Tulsa decided they were going to poach him. So we poached him back. So yeah, he's returned home now after a brief exertion. Oh, not exertion. What's the word I'm looking for? Expedition. We'll go with it's still not the right word. He went for a wander. He's home now. Welcome back, Daigle. He then broke his foot, so that wasn't ideal. But we brought in another player. We brought in Kazunori Karata. As you might be able to tell from his name, he is Japanese. He's 15 years old, and he looks nuts. He joined us from Nova's academy. He's got 5 goals in 4 games for the under-21s. He scored those 5 goals in the first 2 games he played for the under-21s, but 4 of them were penalties. But he looks very, very good. He's only 15. He's already capped at under-23 level for Japan. We're currently training him, and this might seem a little bit odd. We're currently training him to play right midfield as an inverted winger. He could already play kind of right wing okayly. Well, the unconvincing level you can see here. So I feel like we should make more of that, just because we have a lot of strikers already. And he's at such a young age that I feel like he could actually become a pretty good winger. So that's kind of what we're going with. The reason for going with inverted winger is that an inverted winger, the training regime, just covers a bit more in the way of stuff like finishing and first touch, which can help in a more central role. You can actually see here, inverted winger. So, yeah, it also helps with stuff like passing and vision, which would be good to get a little bit better. We are also putting a focus on his strength. He has 1 jumping reach. He's not exactly a giant. He's 163 centimetres tall. He weighs 50 kilograms. He's small, bless him. But Karata, definitely a player to keep an eye on in the future. On the ins, we have 2 little deals that have happened. We talked about Mora last time, so I'm not going to talk about him today. But on the outs, Didic is leaving the club. He's one of the big earners at the team. And last year, he was more of a backup centre-back option. And despite the fact he's Canadian, he has kicked up a fuss this kind of season about the fact he wants to play more. There's teams in America showing interest. His contract's actually up at the end of the year, but that did not put off Detroit City, who have, well, they've been pretty kind to us. They've made an offer that could come to in the region of £100,000 for him. For a player who hasn't really played a great deal for us, I've decided to let him go. And the player who we've brought in, who will probably be his replacement, but you'll notice isn't joining in until next year, is this guy, Domano Solomon. He's another Jamaican. I feel like I'm flexing my Kingston Sprint links. It just feels like Jamaica has great untapped potential, and we found another player here who I hope will live up to that expectation. Now, I agreed to sign this guy before Didic even started kicking up a fuss, and because of the fact we were at the squad limit for registration, I didn't want to sign this guy immediately because I wouldn't have a spot to put him in the team with. So I agreed to sign him at the end of the Jamaican season, which ends in March next year. So he's not going to be with us until next season, but he looks like an absolutely quality centre-back. He has just made, if we look here at his information, he has literally made yesterday his debut for the international team of Jamaica against Canada, of all teams, and he looks very, very good. If we just compare him, I talked last episode about the fact centre-backs, a lot of our centre-backs that we rely on are getting a little old. If we just compare him to Kareem Moses as a pretty good benchmark, you can see the difference here. Moses definitely has an edge over him in certain areas, but at 25 years old, he's entering his prime. He's very consistent. Obviously, he can already speak English. Good determination as well. That's been something that I have been looking to amend. When we came to the club, you might remember last season, I talked about the lack of determination. It's something that we have been doing with our mentoring blocks. You can see here we have a few players from the youth teams promoted into the senior team for the sake of training and also for mentoring here. And, well, it's slowly getting better, it feels like. If we just look at our team profile view, you can kind of see the average squad determination here. So we have got some determined individuals. Equally, there's lots of players kind of lacking, which is a little bit troublesome because I do really value determination. But at the same time, it's something that is not going to change overnight, and we're taking baby steps towards doing just that. Another little bit of good team news is the fact we've had lots of players sign new contracts. So when you look at the expiry dates, you might see some players who now have 3 or 4 years left on their contracts. So players who sign new contracts, we've got Sarkaria, who is no longer unhappy at the club. He has decided to stick it out here in Canada, which is fantastic news because he has been very good for us with 5 goals so far this season. Chandel Senior, he signed a new contract. Alex Marshall signed a new contract. Telfer at left midfield signed an extension. Of course, he joined us at the start of this year, and already he wants to stay on at the club, which is a good sign. Lamotte signed a new deal. We also got new deals for Tem Guia, who is now, signed a longer-term deal with Didic going out with our ageing centre-backs. Tem Guia here is a player who we are going to be relying on as a young Canadian centre-back option, so I had to get his contract renewed. And the last renewal, which might be a little bit surprising, is actually for Marcelin, who, despite declining as a player as of late, I've elected to extend his contract by a further year. I feel like the experience he offers is pretty invaluable. And he has proven to be a very useful player for us this year, and when he's played very, very well. So, speaking of performances, you can see since you were here for the game against Valor, we've played plenty of matches. We're not going to go through all of these in too much detail, but you can see we started off with a draw against Pacific FC. Lincourt Joseph getting us the equaliser in this game. Very disappointing result because Pacific are rock bottom of the league without a win right now. Off the back of that, though, we did bounce back well. We got a win against Halifax Wanderers, of course, a team who last year were a thorn in our side. This year, they continue to be a thorn in our side. They're going very, very strong, and today's episode in terms of the live com matches is massive. You can see in this game, Senior got us off to a flyer. Sarkaria grabbed 2 goals, some very nice finishes by him. It was his third and fourth goals for the season in only the 3rd game of the year here. And then Tomi Amiobi picked up a goal in the 64th minute. The captain leading by example. Was a little bit of a shame to concede a goal late on, but I'm not going to lose sleep over it. Sarkaria was the top performer and we played very, very well there. Unfortunately, you can see in the next game, taking on Halifax this time at home, we lost 2-1. Marcelin got a nice little long-range effort for us, and I think it was off the back of this game, actually. I was like, we need to give him a new contract. But despite that long-range effort, they scored very, very late on in this game. You can see Hakeem Garcia in the 91st minute. And as a result of that, we lost 2-1. Our next game against Forge was a 1-1 draw away from home. Pretty disappointing, to be honest, but we did bounce back well. We beat York 9 6-0. Alex Marshall was the man of the moment in this game. His first goal, the number 98, was absolutely incredible. Obviously, young Jamaican player looking to make a splash in a bigger league. Hasn't come in with the biggest price tags, and in this game, he just ran the show. He got, I think, 2 goals and 3 assists in this game. Lots of half chances. We were incredibly clinical with our opportunities. Great to see the likes of Marcelin getting another goal. Chandel Senior getting a goal as well. Tomi Amiobi just keeping that tally kind of ticking on for the year. And, it was the cherry on top, I guess, was the fact that Tyler Attardo came on off the bench and grabbed his first goal at the club, which is really good news. Of course, he joined us from Valor for a not small price tag. I think it was £200,000 or £350,000. It was big money, really, and it was good to see him get a goal in this game, which is hopefully going to give him some confidence to continue to perform. You can see if we just look at actually Attardo here, he's top draw. Last year, he played quite a lot for Valor FC. In fact, he got 11 goals in 28 games for them. This year, he's not quite hit the ground running as much for us. He has come on off the bench a fair bit. Obviously, with Duck out injured, we needed to rely on Attardo a bit more than I anticipated. So far, he's kind of done a job for us, but really Alex Marshall was the big standout player in that game, and he's a player who has continued to come on leaps and bounds, it feels like. Anyway, the next game we had against Valor, and they played the Uno reverse card on us. Of course, we beat them last time 3-0. This game, they decided that they wanted the 3-0 win. Unfortunately for us, Connor James did pick up an injury during these games, as did Telfer out on the left wing. But it was a chance for Pauli, our second choice goalkeeper, who was out for a lot of last season with injury, to show us what he was made of. If this was anything to go by, a tiny bit concerning. They scored 3. Valor were clinical with their opportunities. I felt like the keeper could have done better on a few of them. I do feel like the result was a little harsh when you kind of look at the stats as a whole, however. Following on from that Canadian Championship, we played Cavalry, 0-0 draw at home. Not really a great deal to talk about there. We did then play a game midweek, or rather it wasn't really midweek, but it was between the 2 Canadian Championship games in the midweek. You can see against Pacific FC, and having drawn against them previously, this time we did win. Lincourt Joseph, superb goal, Tomi Amiobi winning the ball high up the pitch. Lincourt Joseph then with just a great little run. Mohamed Diallo doubled our lead before half-time. Great to see Mohamed Diallo getting a goal, of course. Start of last season, we were very, very excited about him, and he kind of cooled down a little bit. But yeah, a good result here. 2-1 win. You can see, looking at Diallo, he's not a bad player at all, but after such a great start kind of at the club, he has been a teeny bit underwhelming. You can see here a 6.58 average rating in the league. 4 starts in those 5 games as well. It's not like he's come on off the bench with not enough time to make an impact. Anyway, our most recent game against Cavalry, great win this. Away goals was the way we went through in the Canadian Championship. Sarkaria scored a goal for us in the 71st minute. That after Kareem Moses was sent off for us, and we went through on away goals against our rivals in El Clasico. Great result there. Unfortunately, that does mean Moses is unable for selection for today's game. So, you might be wondering, Jack, how's the Canadian Premier League looking? Because that form hasn't been that great. You're absolutely right. This is how it looks. It is crazily close with 2 games left, which is why we're doing a double header today. Our games are going to be against York 9 and Cavalry, so not freebies by any means. I would love to be playing Forge or Pacific. If we just look at Valor's remaining games, they have got, you can see here, Cavalry and Forge, so I'll hope that our rivals can do us a favour there. And if we just look also at Halifax, their remaining games, they are going to be taking on Forge and York 9. So no one's got easy games. You might notice that the other 2 teams play their last games of the spring split on the 27th. Our last game is on the 20th. So we are going to set the benchmark in these 2 games and say, this is what you've got to do. And, well, we will nervously, I think after the second game of today's episode, continue forward to that match day and see exactly how it all plays out. But anyway, we've got to focus on the here and now. We're taking on York 9. I feel like we're in a pretty good situation all in all. As I mentioned, we have been having a few injuries. We had the injuries to our first choice goalkeeper in James. Not great news because we do rely on him quite a lot. You can see he was out here for 2 weeks with pulled knee ligaments, which I guess it could have been more serious. Telfer, on the other hand, did have a more serious injury. He was out for 4 weeks with a twisted ankle, which was a real shame. That has impacted him a little bit, and it came right off the back of him renewing his contract. He is back in the team today. He can play 45 minutes of action. With that in mind, I think we'll actually start him on off the bench. As I mentioned, Moses is suspended at the back, so Tenguia is going to come in. Alongside him, we've of course got Soria and David Edgar, who he picked up as a free transfer at the start of the year. 7.42 average rating thus far this season. He's been top draw for us. In the ball-winning midfielder position here, we've kind of been interchanging between Marcelin and Shendel Senior quite a lot. Senior is the man who we're going to go with today. He's impressed me thus far this year. Out on the left, we're going to go with Lincourt Joseph. On the right, Edwini Bonsu. We then get to our exciting duo in the centre, Alex Marshall, who had that one game where he was absolutely exceptional. And of course, alongside him, we've also got Lamotte. I'm really excited to hopefully see these 2 players blossom and have a beautiful centre midfield partnership with Senior. You know, these 2 guys, 23-year-olds, Senior's only 21. They could be the rock of this team for years to come. That's what I'd really love to see. Up top, we're going to go with Sarkaria and Amiobi. They've got 8 goals between them so far this season. Unfortunately, Saint Duck is still struggling. He did come on in the most recent game against Cavalry, where we got the away goal, and actually, he assisted it on off the bench. He might get a chance to show us what he's made of today, although his condition is a little bit lacking. Elsewhere on the bench, though, some good options. Plenty of strength in depth in this side. I'm hoping that we can do the business today. We have rotated the team a little bit. I have been trying to give everyone pretty even game time. Maybe that has come at the cost of our league form, but fixtures have been, pretty intense so far in terms of the scheduling. we are going to have the Canadian Championship where we've been drawn against Toronto coming up next month. And actually, prior to that, I believe we're also going to have the North American League game, which is the big continental qualification, which we want to do well in order to reach the North American Champions League. It's not going to be easy. The CONCACAF teams, in the Caribbean, are very good in Football Manager, debatably too good in the context of world football. But it does mean when we go up against them, it's going to be a struggle. I did notice Cavalry, our rivals, they've gone 1 goal up against Valor, which is absolutely massive. That would mean that we leapfrog them if we could win our game and that result stays the same. We've got a chance here. Tomi Amiobi, free header into the hands of Ingham. That was a good opportunity. Unfortunately, it just didn't quite work out for us. I've been trying to keep track of which teams we've done live commentaries against. I feel like York 9 might be a new one to tick off the collection of teams that we have done live comms against. Of course, with there only being 7 teams in the Canadian Premier League, it's quite nice to build these little relationships with teams, these little rivalries in my head. And while we've got a chance here, Marshall hits the woodwork. I probably would have preferred him to try and pull it back. There was a mad scramble in the box there. It looked like an impossible angle. Unfortunately, he couldn't find a way through. You can see, looking at the stats, massively on top against York 9 here. They're a team who are going pretty strong in the league. They're just behind us. A win for them, I think, might even take them ahead of us, to give you an idea of where they are. And I think they have games in hand too. So we need to win this. This is not a freebie. I can't remember if it's Halifax or Valor, but one of those 2 teams has also got to play York 9. I think it's Halifax. So that's going to be something to keep an eye on. And, well, we've got a chance here. Maybe Sarkaria, all on his lonesome, tries a rather ambitious chip. It's like a Panenka when it doesn't come off that. Ingham just stands tall and just collects it. Lincourt Joseph on the left hasn't done the best. Of course, we did bring in Telfer for a reason this year. With him being injured, it's been a little bit of a shame he's not been able to feature more. Now, we did get told match fitness-wise he could probably last 45 minutes. I want to see how we go just to start this half. Cavalry have gone 2 goals up against Valor, so a win here becomes all the more important in order to try and win the spring season. With us still being in the Canadian Championship and us being in the North American League, we are going to have lots of fixtures in the summer, and so doing well in the spring season would, well, help us quite a lot. Unfortunately, they've just taken the lead. Cyrus Rollocks with the goal. I think Edwini Bonsi tried to clear this off the line and Rollocks just got a big block on it. It was a mad scramble in the area. You can see here, flicked on. Soria, he tries to get it away, doesn't he? And it just deflects in. Right, we have to make some changes here. And the change that we're going to do is one that I don't know if we've done before in a live com. I can't try to remember if I've done it in a live com before, but it's not a drastic change. Essentially, we just switch around the setup in midfield. I'm also going to bring in some fresh legs. We're going to bring in Telfer out on the left. I'm also going to bring in the Duck. He's going to come in for Sarkaria and show us what he's made of. He's lacking match fitness. He's not particularly sharp. But we need a hero, and now Edwini Bontu's got injured. Caden Chung is going to be waiting in the wings, a player who has complained a little bit about lack of first-team football. He's going to get a chance here. That is our last sub used. We'll have to see how we get on. I feel like we're really unfortunate to not be ahead in this game. We've had golden opportunities. We now look at the highest earner at the club, a player who has only made 1 appearance prior to this, and it wasn't in the league, to show us what he's made of. What can the Duck do? Keep an eye on him. He's wearing the number 81 because he's born on the 8th of the 1st, or 1st of the 8th. I think he's born on the 1st of August, so we gave him number 81. I was getting creative with the numbering. Unfortunately, Rolex is through again. Connor James to the rescue. I'll tell you what, I've not talked about it. Connor James has made massive saves for us to keep us in some of the matches we've won. I appreciate when we do the little catch-ups, you don't see the saves he's making. He's been huge for us. And now we look to break. Marshall tries to get it forward. I mean, that was an abrupt highlight end. I was getting optimistic. I was daring to dream. We're going to go more attacking here. We've got to. We need to turn up the pressure, turn up the heat. Cavalry winning 3-1. They're doing us a huge favour against the odds. Chung, fresh off the bench. What can he do for us? Gives it to the Duck, who crosses it into Lincourt Joseph. Whenever I see Saint Duck, I just think of a duck wearing like a Pope outfit. I should get that on a shirt if he starts doing well for us. Becomes just a cult hero. Anyway, Edgar to Chung. We build from the back again. 20 minutes left. The breakthrough feels like it's inevitable, but time is trickling away, and we've not made the most of our dominance so far. Lovely play by Marshall to get out to Lincoln Joseph. To Sarkaria, who tucks it in at the near post. Really nice goal there. Valor in the other match. Now 3-2. It looks like they're having a classic game. Ours has not been as eventful in terms of goals, but now we want to press on and get another. I feel like I might even stick with what we're playing right now. Nice build-up play, of course. With us switching up our midfield setup, we're a little bit more exposed on the counter-attack, but Marshall, as that kind of advanced playmaker higher up the pitch, can have a bit more of an impact on the game. We've got one change left. I realise now that we didn't actually end up bringing on Telfer during all those changes, but that probably worked out for the best. I'm going to bring in more Totsi, and I'm going to bring him on for Shandell Senior, who is looking a little worse for wear and hasn't had the best match. 83rd minute, demand more. Focused body language. Can we turn that into something? There is 6 minutes left. We have a corner. Whipped in. Marshall. Penalty is given. Temguia to take the penalty. Oh, I didn't click change in time. I hope... we've not got our normal taker in Moses on, so Temguia's the man to take it for us. He scores. Never doubted him. It's 2-1. We'll take that. Right. Off the back of that, we can now go more defensive. What a match this has been to start things off. We were never going to do it the easy way, were we? Not going to change a great deal, just going to revert back to our regular system. I mean, could we get another? Could the Duck make something happen? Sarkaria. I want to believe it's going to be a quick double for us. You'd have to say we probably deserve it on how we've played. More Totsi. Lincoln Joseph, so much space. On your left peg, my friend. He's dispossessed in the centre. Great tackle by the York 9 defender there. Edgar, no nonsense. Look how tall he is in the match engine. Gives it to Chung, who is a little bit smaller by comparison. To the Duck. Shot is blocked. Now we're more Totsi. This feels like the pointless highlight, but if we could get another goal here, it would help me breathe a sigh of relief. Going into the second match in a week's time, which is going to be a big one for us against Cavalry. They clear it out for a throw-in. Are Cavalry still holding on against Valor? I really hope they are. It would help us hugely. Lincoln Joseph switches it to Chung. What can you do? He crosses in. Sarkaria. Who was that? What was... Gogarty. What a tackle that was. It means absolutely nothing. That was nutty. A good win for us. I want to say against the odds. Not really against the odds, but to come back from behind is good. You can see with that, we now go ahead of Valor. We have our fate in our own hand in terms of that game. Halifax, their next game is on the 20th, which means that they play at the same time we play our last game against Cavalry. And as I said, both Halifax and Valor, their last games of the stage are going to be in a week after we finish, so we can kind of set the benchmark there. Unfortunately, Edwin Bontu is wrecked with a hip injury. That is an awful injury. Out for 3 months. I've probably got to send him to a specialist because I don't want the injury to recur. Man, I mean, Chung has been complaining about lack of first-team football. He's not going to be complaining for much longer. You can see here, I'm looking currently at Kofi Opare, or Opare. I think it's Opare, but you can let me know in the comments. But with us knowing Didic is going out, I'm looking at other options for centre-backs we could bring in. This guy is partially Canadian. He's been a free agent for a while. He didn't want to come on trial, so I've only been able to scout him. He looks good, but I don't want to offer him that much a week. In terms of wages, he wants £1,900. I can't justify that. That's too much for a player who probably won't... Well, he probably would be a starter, but it's still just too much. Too much for my liking. Anyway, Edwin Bonsu is out. He's going to miss our games against Toronto FC in the Canadian Championship. I know that this game is on the horizon. I'm pretty sure the North American League games are going to get slotted in here at the start of July. So these fixtures will get moved around a little bit. Of course, we've still got the Cavalry game to play to end out the spring season. So I think we'll go forward to that one. We'll jump forward, time skip. Can we get another good result? Cavalry, a team we've done pretty well against so far this year. I'm cautiously optimistic that we can get a win here and really set a high bar for our rival teams to match. Anyway, don't go anywhere. We'll be back in just a second. Okay guys, so we are back here. This is the biggest El Clasico, I think, so far in the history of the derby. I know we've met in the cup a couple of times, but this for me is huge. Obviously, if we can get a result here, we could top off the spring season. And if we were to do that, it would be great. Of course, the issue we've got is that Halifax do have a game in hand. So right now, their destiny is in their own hands. You can see they are going to be playing today against Forge. So if we were to both win, we would maintain that 1-goal margin, with Halifax still having York 9 to play, if I'm not mistaken, to end the year. A win here for us, however, will guarantee a finish above Valor after their defeat. But, well, we can only really do what we can do. You know, it's a shame that our destiny isn't in our own hands here. We go into this game, of course, without Edwin Ibonsu now out on the right. Telfer's still not really 100% fit. Given how Lincourt Joseph played last time out, I think we might go with Osorio out on the left, and then Kading Chung, of course, is going to come in on the right. Two players who can both very capably play wing-back for us, and that might just help us a little bit defensively in this game. But to be honest, I'm looking at this Cavalry side feeling like we really need to go for the throat of them. We did struggle a little bit when we met them in the Canadian Championship, so that does fill me with an element of doubt in the back of my mind. I've got to, just get rid of that for now. We've got to go into this game and try and set a benchmark for the other teams around us to hit. In a dream scenario here, where of course we win and Halifax lose, and we don't have to kind of anxiously continue forward a week worrying about what that second result might end up being. But anyway, let's see how we get on here. Topping the spring split, as I mentioned, is huge. Not just because obviously we get to the playoff final, but with us now being in the North American League this year, the kind of summer competition, we're going to have more games to play than ever. And we saw Forge really struggle with that last season. That fixture congestion kind of just capitulated their season. So with that in mind, we've got to put it to the back of our head, really. We've got to not worry about that just yet. It's a problem that we can deal with if we face it. We need to perform here on the pitch. And while Marshall, looking to seize the initiative, gives it to Sarkaria, continues his run. Chandal Senior to Lamotte, who hits it. An ambitious effort, not a bad effort. And, well, the signs are promising, at least in the first 10 minutes here. Having seen Cavalry beat Valor, it kind of emphasises the fact that they're not going to be pushovers here, even at home. Unfortunately for us, you can see Halifax have taken the lead against Forge through Secunda. So pressure on us now to go and do something in this game. While Tomi Amiobi looked like he might have been fouled through the back. Nothing given. We are still on the attack here. Osorio with a rare start out on the left. A chance for us to show us what he's made of. Chung on the right, filling some big boots in Edwin Ibonsu. There is an element of pressure, I guess, for him to make up for what we're missing. With Edwin Ibonsu now being out for, 3 months, that right midfielder position is a position where Chung is going to get a lot of chances to prove himself. And, well, he's on the ball again here, speaking of the devil. Switch it to Osorio, who pulls it back to Marshall. And, there he is, Alex Marshall to tuck it home. Osorio with a nice little pullback. And that's a pretty cool and calm finish from a player who doesn't have the craziest finish in the world. It's his 3rd goal of the season. And, so far, Chung and Osorio linking up with each other on either wing. Neither a first-choice player in their positions they're playing today, but maybe making a claim to be given a few more opportunities, especially if we were to, win the spring split, dare I say it. That rotation might be an option. You can see Nick Daly has picked up a goal for Halifax. He, of course, if we just look at him, he's on loan from us at them. I will say, he looks really blooming good. I wonder if I can recall him before their last game. Would that be... he's not done too crazily well for them. He's got 3 goals, I guess, and 2 player of the matches in 6 games. He's probably good enough to do a job for us, but we have so many strikers already that loaning him out to a team like Halifax just... To me, it makes sense. Now, maybe it doesn't make sense in the sense that they're rivals, but no other team wanted him on loan. And ultimately, he is going to benefit massively from regular first-team football. I did notice he scored a hat-trick recently for the Jamaica under-20s, so he is shining for them. And obviously, he's one of a few Jamaican players in our team who we have high hopes for. Anyway, we do need to defend here. Oliver with it, pulls it back to the edge of the box. Rankine? We'll go with it. Not convinced about that pronunciation on the name. Rankine? That probably sounds a bit better. Long range effort for him, goes wide of the mark. And they've not had a shot on target yet. which is good news. I'm going to tell the players I'm far from pleased. I want them a little bit fired up. Don't want them to get complacent in this game. 1 goal is not a convincing enough lead for me to praise them too highly. You can see Lamotte's not had the best game in the centre of midfield. He's also on a booking. With that in mind, I might change it up. A chance here for Chung. Can he do something? He crosses it in. Zacharia's there. Lays it off to Marshall. Oh my gosh, it hits the woodwork. And he almost doubled his tally for the game. It was saved off the line just about by Carducci. And, well, I think we'll make a change. I'm going to bring in Deshays. Do I want to bring in Deshays? No, I'm going to bring in Lincourt Joseph. Deshays, to be honest, you can see here, just an incredible young prospect. Capped at under 20 level now. He's good. I still don't... He's a bit limited in his play. He's a very good playmaker, but he's not as good as Marshall. And he is only 17, so there isn't massive pressure to start playing him right now. Anyway, we've got a chance here. Tenguia to Marshall, who hits it. I mean, he's almost scored twice already in this second half to double his tally for the game. The chances are falling to that Jamaican playmaker constantly, it feels like. Maybe a chance here from the set piece, although Cavalry deal with it well. And now Hamilton might look to try and spring something on the break. We've got plenty of men behind the ball. And Tenguia, what a tackle that was. I decided to keep him in the team after his good performance previously. Chung and Senior on bookings does worry me a little bit. Let's bring in more Totsi for Senior. And I'm going to take off Chung as well. We're going to give Bruno Zebi a chance in the team. A player who you can expect to feature a little more prominently than he has already this season with the Edwin Ibonsu injury. 15 minutes left. It's still only a 1-goal game. And I'm still nervous. I'm still scared that they're going to do something here. Of course, we only beat them on away goals in the Canadian Championship. So I can't afford to, get too complacent here. They've got a chance maybe with Malonga. Ball at his feet, lays it off to Hamilton. I mean, he's running forward with it. Zebi, great tackle. We crowd them out. Nothing crazy here, please. Oh my gosh, that is more composed than I would like to see in a lot of ways from our defence. It almost looked more lazy the way they played the ball out, but we continue to try and build from the back. Tenguia plays it through to Sarkaria. That is one big ball over the top that's completely unlocked them, and Sarkaria, you would expect to bang that in. 9 times out of 10 he would. He's missed it this time, although, well, maybe we have another chance here. That is a last man foul. He should be off. And, well, Street is going to see the streets. He can take a hike. Interestingly, they're bringing in a regen to play centre-back for them. He's very good. They signed him from our academy. They're just poaching our players. I need to keep more of an eye on our academy, apparently. They stole Wharton from us. He's now playing against us. He'll probably score now from a corner, won't he? They're a man down. Surely they're just going to roll on their backs and die here. Just don't cause us any issues. No last-minute highlights. I don't need them in my life. 30 seconds left for us to hold on. And I think we've done enough here. We've been the better team throughout. They've not had a shot on target. Would like to score a few more, especially when you have 2 clear-cut chances and 4 half chances. But I don't think the scoreline perhaps does the performance justice in just how dominant we've been in this game. Unfortunately, I've not seen the Halifax score update, so I have to assume they've won, which means we now do have to anxiously continue forward a week to see how the last kind of game week of the season plays out. I do also anticipate that we might get the draw for the North American League in the meantime. That will be coming at the start. Yeah, you can see here, Halifax won 4-0. That helps their goal difference quite a lot. It's the separation rule. Okay, it's games won, then it's goal difference. That's not good for us, because now, because they've scored more goals than us, in terms of goal difference, they would beat us. We now actually need them to lose. If they draw, that is good enough for them to win on goals difference. And of course, if they win, they'd go ahead of us on points, but they would have also won more games. So it's now a bit of an anxious wait to see how things play out. You can see Gaffer and Walton both playing for Pacific. They played a lot of game each. They didn't play a ton. Nick Daly scored a hat-trick. I mean, that's blooming typical, isn't it? Do I? I mean, he's probably good enough to be given a chance in the first team, but do I recall his loan off the back of that? You know what? I'm going to wait until just before the last game so they don't have time to plan it. We're going to do it on the Friday. We're going to do it on the Friday. They're going to play on Saturday the 27th, and on that day we go, sorry, we need him back. I know it will seem like a highly debatable loaning out. Obviously, I don't have the foresight to know at the start of the season that he's going to make that bigger a difference in the title race. You can see we've got a few scout reports on players going on, mostly centre-backs actually I'm looking at, interestingly. Jordan Wilson here is an interesting one because his contract expires very soon. He's been playing in Denmark. He's part Canadian. He actually looks pretty good. I'm still looking for that, alternative to Didic, because we are going to need a backup centre-back of some kind. And maybe he's the man to do it for us. Anyway, we get to anxiously continue forward here to the 27th, not knowing our fate. It's not a comfortable situation to be in, is it? Let's put it that way. Obviously, I know I could just skip forward to it, but I appreciate that you guys would probably... Well, some people would be concerned that I just sit there repeatedly continuing to get the result that I want. But, well, you can see here we've actually had the draw made. We are going to be taking on Le Club Francais. Never heard of them. They don't have a badge. What country are you from? Martinique. Let's have a look at their play. I mean, he's pretty good, isn't he? They've not got the worst players in the world. I mean, he's very good. Stephanie Aboul. Is he a Martiniquean international? I can only assume he is. He's got 55 caps. He looks competent. So they're going to be our opposition. They've got a player here. I was going to be like, oh, his contract's expiring. Maybe we could sign him to solve our centre-back position, but he's not that good. Interestingly, Aboul's contract is just up. See, we could just sign him to make the draw easier, but I don't think we will. So we're going to play them... When are we going to play them? Soon, it seems. We're going to play them on the 1st and the 8th. Wow, okay, really soon. That will be next episode then, the North American League prelim. Just as a reminder for how this competition works, we play for a big knockout tournament. There is a final and a winner. If you finish top 6, you get a spot in the North American Champions League. Obviously, the semi-finalists and finalists automatically qualify. If you lose in the quarter-final, you play in playoffs against the other losing quarter-finalists. And 2 teams from the losing quarter-finalist playoff will also make it in as part of that top 6. So, yeah, this is our first step, potentially, on our road up. You can see the team we're going to play is going to be Toro, who, interestingly, I can't actually click on. Can I search Toro to have a look at this team? So they play in the Panama League. So if we can win our next game, we'll play these. This is their star man, Jesus Gonzalez. He looks pretty good. Lots of 15s and 14s. They've got a few players with faces as well who look largely pretty solid. That's not going to be an easy draw. We are going to be battling up against it, I think, but we're going to give it our best. As I mentioned previously, the teams just within the Caribbean region and CONCACAF region as a whole are very highly rated in FM. Perhaps slightly overrated, but it doesn't tend to matter too much because a lot of those leagues aren't actually playable. Anyway, it's time to throw a bit of a mind game in there. We are going to recall Nick Daly from his loan. He is good enough to play for us, isn't he? He is good enough to play for us. I could definitely play him. I'd have to find a spot to register him in the team. Would it mean moving on to one like Diallo? Potentially. It would also count towards our foreign player limit, and if you're only being allowed to have 5 foreign players in the starting 11, it might cause us some issues that we'd have to be wary of. But maybe recalling him will turn out to be a genius move, or maybe it'll turn out to be the move that sees Halifax Wanderers, their next in kin, I guess, the next striker to come in for him, now score a hat-trick of his own, and we should have kept him at them all along. To be honest, he's very, very good. I don't know how we're going to fit him in the first team. I guess that's the issue. Because Hurtado doesn't have to be registered, so he's not really up for debate. Obviously, Karata would take up a foreign player slot, and because he's not a domestic youth player, he can't be, registered up for free. He would also take up a spot, which is why he's not in the squad. Diallo would probably be the player to move on, but then we still have the foreign player limit to kind of contend with. I guess with Marcelin playing less of a prolific role in the first team, it might be slightly easier. In fact, it's 5 foreign players in the starting 11 and we only have 4 at the moment. Oh, sorry, 5 players in the starting 11 can actually play who are foreign, of 7 in your squad total, but we only have 4 of those slots used in our 23-man squad. So we could definitely find a spot for him. He's been doing well in training. I mean, that's what I want to hear it straight away. Maybe I have to give him a chance, but then maybe do I move on someone instead? I guess that becomes the next question. I feel like we'll train to players are pressing forward. He is very, very good, isn't he? He is very, very good. I'd be interested to know in the comments what you would do with him. You can see Didic has made the move, so he's left us now. Is the registration window now open again? I guess it is after... it's on the 6th, apparently. I think it said the 6th there. Transfer window is now open, I believe, for us. Anyway, here we are. We could attend the game. I'm not going to. We need York 9 to do us a favour. They're up in 4th, so they're not a bad team. York 9, can you save us? Please. Please, York 9. They draw. Was that enough? No. And I knew it wasn't enough. So Halifax get that top spot. I mean, look how close that is. 5 points separate the top 5. Oh, it's heartbreaking. That means that we have to take the spring season or the full season seriously. Of course, if Halifax were to win it again, it would then go to the second place team in the overall table. So we've done a good job in giving ourselves a good chance there. I mean, ultimately, we've missed out by a goal. A goal has been the difference. And we did have, obviously, our player, Daly, at the club, scoring goals for them. I'll let you decide if that's an error of judgment. I feel like this guy is good enough to play for us. That is the dilemma I've got. I don't really want to drop someone like Tomi Amiobi, but maybe I've got to consider it. Not as good in the air, but good vision, good speed. Or maybe I look to loan him out to a team lower down in the Canadian Premier League, because I do feel like we will struggle to fit him in this year. You guys can advise me. What would you do in my situation? It's a bit of a dilemma. And it's a bit of a gut punch, isn't it, at the end of the day, to not finish top of the group. But, well, we go into the autumn season and we need to do well in it. And there is going to be pressure on our shoulders. As I said, next time, North American League, our first step on the continental football ladder. Hopefully I see you guys for it. It's going to be a good one. If you have enjoyed today's episode, do leave a like on the video. It is massively appreciated. It also lets me know, of course, you are enjoying the series. And, well, I'm looking forward to the next one. It's going to be a big game for us. Hopefully I see you for it. And, well, it is me, Jack, and I will talk to you guys in a bit. I'm out.